When the lights are out, my heart is your home. When the stars are bright, your heart is my home.
Hey fam, welcome back. So let's start. This is how the palette looks straight out of the box. Such a pretty green. This is the back, super simple. And you guys, look at it. Look how big these palettes are. Such a beautiful palette. I love a brand spanking new palette. Okay, let's do some swatches. We're gonna start off with Wings, then Isle, Belle. Wisteria is a lavender matte. Then we have Lily, and then Hope, and then Paloma, a matte shade, and then Fleur, aka Flower, Liberty, which is an olive matte shade, Peacock, Metro. The last one is Muse. Okay, the last swatches look a little funky, but these are it, girl. Pigment all the way. And I just was laughing about my swatches. Okay, so we're gonna start off with priming the lid with my P. Louise base. We're gonna cover the lid up because you guys see I have discoloration on my lid, so we wanna work with one surface. I'm gonna add some tape and I'm gonna match it to the end of my eyebrow, you see? And we're gonna start off with this fluffy brush and Fleur, and we're gonna tap it all over the eye. This is the BK brush, number 206. And just set that wet base down, doing tapping motions. Look how pretty that shade is. And it was so pigmented, I was like, wait, what? And then we're gonna go back in with our P. Louise base and just clean up the lid really quick. We're not gonna cut the crease, we're just gonna clean it up. As you see here. And then we're gonna go with Wisteria, you guys. Look at this. Look how pretty this lavender is. And I really like how it just stuck down beautifully onto the base. And you can really see the purple in its true form. We didn't have to add a purple base for it to show up, you know, that usually happens. And all I did is I did tapping motions, making sure we placed that purple right there. Going back with Flower, the same BK brush, just tapping the crease and then getting a small brush using the shade Metro, which is a little bit darker. And we're gonna intensify that crease. I felt like we needed a little more dimension there and it just did the perfect. Back in with our first brush and just blending that out. And as always, reinforcing my steps, making sure everything is a-okay. And you guys know I love me a wing. So we did a quick, thin wing with a black liner. I felt like black and this lavender just works so well because it's just very contrast, like lavender and then black. Taking off our tape, it wasn't as sharp as I wanted to. So here I am cleaning it up and then reinforcing my steps with the edges as always. Full face and everything using my LA Girl super bright eyeliner on the waterline per the usual. This liner really opens up and brightens up the eyes so nicely. Using the same small brush and getting Metro, and we're hitting it in the lower lash line. Just keeping it super simple and close to the lower lash line. And fam, this is look number 1. I wanted to stick with only mattes for this look so you guys can see how they work. And oh! Alright, let's move on to look numero 2. This time we're going to start off with concealer because I like to give you options and the shadows work well with primer and concealer. Here I am just buffing it out. Going in with the tape once again, measuring it up to my eyebrow as you see. Going back in with our BK brush. And I wasn't sure where I was going, but we're going to start with Fleur. And then again, tapping that wet base and keeping it right on the crease. And tapping back and forth. And the tape is just guiding me to create like that sharp line. Getting this MAC brush and we're gonna use the shade Muse and start winging it out. I wanted to do like a smoked out wing liner and the brush I'm using is the MAC 228S brush. I'm just guiding with my eyelid and the tape.
When the lights are out, my heart is your home.
And then we're gonna get this small brush using the shade Liberty. I wanted it to look a little more smoked out, getting the olive shade, and it gave us what I wanted. I didn't want a sharp wing. And then I'm going back in, reinforcing my steps, making the lid area very dark. I needed something darker, so I just got the Maybelline eyeliner, the new brown shade. And using the shade Isle, just hitting it right on the lid. I wanted to show you how the shimmers look, and look how beautiful. It's so pigmented and it's shiny without adding anything to it, you know? And of course, I'm reinforcing my steps with the winged eyeliner. Using the shade Metro in a small brush. I needed more dimension, so I'm adding it to the crease, making the crease a little bit darker so you can just see the differences between all colors. Ooh, this time it's sharp. I was so happy. Okay, full face and everything. Back in with the LA Girl Super Bright Liner. Hitting it right on the waterline. Using the shade Liberty, which is the olive matte shade. Just hitting it in the lower lash line. You guys know I don't like a super buffed out lash line, so I'm just keeping it super close. And going in with Wings and Isle, mixing those together and hitting it in the inner corner. And I wanted to show you how beautiful both of these shades mixed well together. It just gives that pop. And then I went back with Isle just to blend everything out together. And fam, this is look number 2. Such a pretty look. You guys know it's kind of my signature with the wing. And yeah, let's move on to the last look. All right, familia, starting off with Paloma, it's cream matte shade. We're gonna set that wet base using the same BK brush, number 206, and tapping it all over that lid. Going in with Metro and a small brush, we're gonna start tapping and making a triangular shape. This triangular shape gives your eyes like a nice elongated look, so I really like that. And again, I'm just tapping the product and then I'm blending it out once it's placed. Using the shade Floor, we are going to buff out those edges. I know I'm not pronouncing that word, but I just feel like saying flower. And then we're gonna clean up the lid with some concealer and blend that out with a concealer brush. Back in, just reinforcing our steps, making sure our lid is not too sharp and everything's meshed in. Using the shade Peacock. Ooh! Pigment all the way. Guys, look at this shade, how pretty it is. I'm just placing it all over the lid and keeping a little bit of the inner corner free to go in with the shade Wings and hitting it in the inner corner all the way to where it meets Peacock, making sure I'm blending those two together so we have a nice gradient. Using the shade Muse, and we're gonna start buffing out the edges. I wasn't sure where I was going with this, but then we ended up kind of winging it out a little bit. I just needed more dimension since we weren't gonna wear eyeliner or anything, and you guys know I don't wear falsies. So I was just adding it here and then going back in with Metro, just reinforcing our steps, making sure everything's meshed in, using our first fluffy brush and Peacock. Again with Wings. And we have to clean it up because we had a good amount of fallout there, and just sharpen up that wing. And oh, and I needed more, so I got this thin brush, got the shade Muse, and hit it right in the inner corner. This is just giving us a little bit more dimension. It's such a subtle difference, but it makes a difference. And now I'm going in with the shade Hope and hitting it in the lower lash line. I really liked how this was because it's super soft since it's a shimmer shade going to the lower lash line. And then I went in with Peacock to darken it up just a little bit on the lower lash line on top of Hope. And then I got this Pixie eyeliner, the brown shade, and just hit it in the waterline. And fam, this is look number 3. Don't leave. I do have an outro and my thoughts on this palette. And see you in the outro. Hello fam! This is the third and final look using ABH Nouveau palette. I think that's how you pronounce it. I always say ABH, but it stands for Anastasia Beverly Hills if you're not familiar. This palette is beautiful. This packaging is, I don't know what this is, but it feels very, very nice. It's a little different from her previous ones, but it's the same shape, the inside. These pans are huge, like they're ginormous. Like you can fit your whole finger up in here. That's a really good thing. You do get a good amount of shades and the sizes are bigger, so that's always nice, especially when it's a palette like this, because it's an everyday palette. There's so many shades here that you can use by themselves, mix and match. I feel like I can do another freaking 3-5 looks with this palette because it's so beautiful, and these shimmers are all multi-dimensional, so you get a bunch of shades as you place it. For example, this one has like gray, purples, and blues in it. This one has like gold and green. So you get a lot of those multi-dimensional shades when it comes to the shimmer shades. So I really like that because depending on what your style is or what base you put, let's say you put like a blue base, you will get a lot of the blue from this shade, for example, you know? So I love multi-dimensional shades because you can wear them so many different ways, especially this palette being $55 in high-end palette. You want to get a palette that you know you'll use every day, and this is actually a perfect everyday palette because these shades right here are beautifully pigmented mattes that don't accentuate texture. You guys know I have a lot of texture on my lids. I look out for eyeshadows that will create more texture or just make it look very textury, because there's some shadows that are super matte and drying that do that, and then there's shimmers that just accentuate all of it, and it doesn't do that. It looks very, very smooth. These shadows last a long time. Like I wore 2 of the 3 looks all day long and it lasted. So I like this palette. I didn't think I was gonna like it as much as I did because I haven't used an ABH palette in so long. It briefly reminded me of the Subculture palette, but this one is a way better version. Something about the scheme, the look of it kind of reminded me of that, but then it kind of went away. You know, as I was using it and as I was applying the shades very nicely. It's very blendable, very pigmented. There is a lot of fallout though, so beware. I had fallout all over my face and there's a lot of kickback on the palette. So if you don't like that, beware, there's a lot of fallout. I was getting the feeling like with this shade right here that it was a pressed pigment. Look through the info and they seem to be eyeshadows, not pigment. I'm not a big pressed pigment type of girl. I really just like a good matte eyeshadow and a good shimmer because I don't know, pigments I feel like just don't work very well for me. I just don't like to work with pressed pigments, to be honest. But yeah, you guys, this palette is really good. I really, really liked it. I enjoyed working with it. And something that I found about this palette, because these shimmers are so intense and so pigmented, you don't really need to add a lot of them. Like I mixed these 2 because I wanted to show you how 2 of the shimmer shades would mix. But if you only want to use this on your lid and get this shade and kind of just blend it out in the corner, like you're all set. This is that type of palette where it's a very effortless palette. You can use 2 shades or you can use 1 shade and you're good to go. I really, really like that. You don't have to build, you don't have to do too much. The shimmers and mattes to really show up and you have a good look. Do you know what I'm saying? And I realized that today. I was like, wait, I don't need to be adding all this. But of course, I always like to give you guys options and I always like to use as many shades as humanly possible because of course I need to show you guys the 3 looks and tell you how it works and feels throughout this entire time. I am very, very surprised how much I like it. And yeah, what do you think? Have you seen it around? Are you looking to get it? Do you like ABH palettes? Let me know. When I saw this, I was just like, I wasn't sure, but then I'm like, wait, like an everyday palette that is very usable, and it is. It is. Okay. But yeah, this is it. Let me know your thoughts. Oh my God, I had so much fun using this palette. I really want to do more looks. I'm actually going to do more looks on my TikTok. So if you're not following me there, follow me there because I will be posting more looks. And yeah, let me know which look is your favorite. You guys know they're all my favorite. That purple one though was like, it was like delicious, you know? But yeah, okay. Let me know your thoughts. I love you guys so much. Thank you for hanging out with me and spending a little bit of your day with me. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, click the button right there, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.